Hello, everybody. It's the meanest sons of bitches this side of the state of Maryland. And welcome to another episode.
What an opening to this season already.
Welcome to another episode of Remember the Hyphen.
As always, I'm Average Joe Squad.
And I'm Zalkitsi 134. So, we've realized we had very little Spider-Man content last year.
So we're going to make up to it, and we're going to have a fuck ton this whole year.
Or at least we're going to try to.
Especially because we got Spider-Verse coming out in June, so.
Yeah.
And Spider-Man 2 the game coming out this year.
Which, speaking of Spider-Man 2, that's actually the...
If you haven't been able to tell by the title down here.
Yeah. That is not theme. That is the subject of discussion for this evening's episode. So Spider-Man 2. Yeah.
Sorry, our truck just rolled by. I'm like, oh, I ain't unloading that shit.
Yeah, it's great. So we took her to the penthouse and we freaked it. Sorry, I'm trying to get. I'm getting.
That was the whitest shit I've ever seen on this show.
I'm getting all the bullshit out of me. We just watched that Godzilla clip, and it's on my mind. So again, Spider-Man 2 is coming out this year for PS5, and basically, him and I realized this would be a good opportunity for us to talk about what we would like to see.
It's actually, yeah, and it's actually spawned out of. We were having this discussion the other night, and I finally was like, this would be a good topic for a video.
No,
what we just literally talked about for like probably an hour.
No, I thought it would be a very good idea. Basically, what we would like to see, characters, maybe kind of talk about what we think the story will be, and just overall kind of talking about things we hope we'll see or would like to see. So if you don't mind, I might get the ball rolling a little bit.
Yeah, go right ahead.
I'm actually kind of hoping we see a character that's going to be coming out in Spider-Verse. I actually kind of hope we have some stuff with the Spot. Like, actually, maybe have him show up and be like, not like an important character, maybe like a side mission thing.
It could even probably be like DLC.
Have something where like you have to find like,
because at this point we don't. At the point of this recording, we still don't know when it's coming out, other than it's coming out this year.
Which does make me worry that that means they're going to delay it, but
I don't know. A lot of the rumors I've been seeing is just it'll come out in September.
But like I think it'd be cool. Like you could even do like something where like you have to like find like spot like he got like injured in an accident and like his spots are actually like all over New York and you have to try and like
kind of like with they had a similar type of mission in Gotham Knights with Clayface.
Yeah, where like you have to neutralize like the different spots basically.
That could be interesting.
Also, like, even though I know it's a joke between this, low-key, I wouldn't mind seeing some like really deep cuts. Like, I actually
I remember I had mentioned to you, like, man, imagine if they did like Belladonna or something, like some like really deep obscure cut.
Like, I actually low-key wouldn't mind them bringing up Big Wheel and the Rocket Racer.
What's up, everybody? Big Wheel.
Like, I know that's a joke, but like low-key, that would be kind of interesting to see, like the rock, like maybe even have it like you do like Rocket Racer side missions again. And like the end of it, you fight a boss with him against the Big Wheel.
I would like that. I would like that brings up a good that actually brings up a good thing for me to springboard off of if you don't mind.
No, that's fine. Go ahead.
I know probably one of the biggest complaints of the entire first game was the screwball challenges.
Yeah.
Not because they were hard, but because they were just fucking annoying.
Especially because she talked like non-stop.
Yeah.
That.
I would actually like to see if they want to keep doing the challenges, they could do them like they did in the Miles Morales game, which was they're like AR challenges.
Yeah.
If they want to do something like that with screwball challenges, have races like Big Wheel, because like kind of like how it was in the Ultimate Spider-Man game with Johnny Storm.
Yeah.
That would kind of be like a neat little like nod / homage back to Ultimate Spider-Man the game, which I know a lot of people hold in really high regard. Probably it's why I can't fucking find it anywhere without it being an outrageous amount of money.
That game is so weird just because of the fact that it technically is canon to the Ultimate Universe.
Yeah, I would like to get that. I'm going to get that. That's actually one of the few ones I'm missing is that one. But that would be kind of something I would like to see would be do something like different. Because like we had the screwball challenges in the first game, and then we had the AR challenges as like a replacement in the second game.
Yeah.
That would kind of be something cool to add on top of it as something new, is have races.
Yeah.
Because, and again, it would be a nice homage to the Marvel Spider-Man game, and it would, given that that one of the big things they pointed out with the development of this game was that they added a fuck ton of new animations and stuff to the web swinging mechanics. Like, I think they said like they added like over like at least over 50 new animations built on what we already had in the first one.
Wow, that's actually impressive.
That would be a cool way to show that off. Would be those races. You could even like maybe have it like if you do so many within a certain amount of time, you get like an upgrade or something like that. They could do something like that, and that would kind of be like the incentive to do them, is if you want to upgrade the web swinging mechanics.
Yeah, no, that would be nice. Because their web swinging mechanics were already really, really solid in that game.
Yeah, and they worked on it even further and developed it.
Yeah,
I know, because I remember reading a lot of interviews where they were talking about that they put a lot of. They didn't just kind of stay stagnant with it. They kind of went back and like, how can we improve it? What can we add?
Which I think is always important, just because like even though you did a like really great in the first game, there's always room for improvement for that sort of thing.
Yeah, and if they've gone the full length of, I think they said in the interview I read that they had like 2 full-time people on the team that was their only thing.
Job
was just web swing.
No, that's fair.
That was it. That was their only thing they came in to work on was the web swinging. Which to me shows again that they got some dedication to making this as good as it can be.
Yeah. And to be fair, this one I think is, and even though this is more I figure will happen given the fact they're both in it, I do kind of hope we get a lot more kind of like how when we had in Arkham Knight, where like with Peter and Miles kind of doing like co-op battles where you can like swap between the two on the fly.
If I remember correctly, they haven't said whether that we're going to be able to switch between them in free roam.
Yeah.
Like, they're both in it, obviously, because we've seen them in the trailer.
Yeah.
But without having any, like, gameplay footage or an actual trailer come out that's, like, gameplay trailer, not, like, a teaser with cinematics, it's kind of hard to see if we're only going to control Peter or, like, something will happen midway through the game and we'll play as Miles. Like, we really don't know how that's going to work. We don't know if, like, the MJ missions are going to come back.
I don't know. I feel like they might not come back, or they'll come back in a different way than they were before.
Yeah, so it's
I know people hated her stealth missions.
I don't fucking understand, but
I think it's mostly just because like those stealth missions are so limiting when you just want to play as Spider-Man. I think is more that I don't think that it was necessarily a hatred of the character. It was more just like those stealth missions. Even with Miles,
I've even seen people complaining on the internet about like the parts where you're just playing as Peter.
Yeah,
going through areas, and I'm just like, he can't be fucking Spider-Man the whole time. It won't kill you to do something else in the game.
No,
that's been like, I've always thought that criticism from people online was really, really stupid. Just because it was kind of like, I can see what type of a gamer you are. You know what I mean?
Yeah. I think with Mary Jane it was more they just wanted to get back to playing because I know that was like the biggest issue most people had with those games is like the Miles and MJ stuff because you weren't doing the Spidey stuff.
Yeah, which
I don't even know if it's really so much a criticism.
Because they never bought, like, I know I had people, like, I saw people online talk about how, like, oh, well, they were so difficult and stuff, and I'm like, I never once had any issue with any of those parts. If you're failing at them that much, that is a fucking you problem. You're just not that good at it.
Well, I think a lot of it's people are kind of tired of just having stealth mechanics and everything, because that's like a big problem with most major AAA titles is forcing stealth in there, which I kind of get, but like I'm someone who liked Spider-Man Shattered Dimensions, where you can play as Noir, and a big part of Noir's stuff is you are doing stealth.
Yeah.
I mean, granted, a lot of the problems with that game is it was very desperately trying to be Arkham City.
Yeah.
As much as I love that game. One day we should talk about Shattered Dimensions, because I low-key love that
I would have to actually play through all of it. And I actually have the DS port too, which is like a totally different build.
Yeah. But
so I would have to play through those, but I'm actually getting ready to do a huge big replay of all the Spider-Man games leading up to Spider-Man 2. So it'll happen this year. I just don't know when, but I am going to get to it and we can talk about this. Actually, I would like to talk about Web of Shadows too. Honestly.
One of these days we could just do an episode where we talk about all the different Spider-Man games.
Yeah, because I have a bunch, so I would like to do that.
You can do that for Batman too, because I wouldn't mind talking about all the weird oddities with Batman.
You could come over and we could play the Fantastic Four game on the PS1, because remember it's multiplayer.
Tell you what, I got even better. I'll buy a Super Nintendo copy of Batman and Robin.
No.
Well, haven't somebody.
Well, listen, I might call you up if we're gonna play Maximum Carnage, because I think I might actually need somebody to back me up on that one.
Dude. If there's one thing I'm good at, it's button mashers.
Yeah, just beat 'em ups, but
I love beat 'em ups.
But anyway, yes. But speaking of that, I would like to see that the ability of Yeah, there'll be parts of the story where you have to play as one or the other.
Yeah.
But kind of like Arkham City, where you could switch back and forth between playing as Batman or playing as Catwoman.
Yeah.
I'd like to see something like that, because
Well, that
was actually one of my bigger complaints with Arkham Knight.
Yeah.
Was that kind of like free roam type of playing style wasn't there. You weren't really able to play as anybody else unless you were playing the DLCs.
Yeah. And not only that, like, I felt like a lot of Batman Arkham Knight's problem was they really did section you off to like certain parts of the city whenever you were doing like certain parts of the game.
Yeah, so like having that ability to pick who you want to play as in free roam would be really, really cool. I would even like to see like the ability to free roam and just street clothes and just kind of like soak in the city, because that's one thing I don't think Insomniac got enough credit for with the first game and the Miles game as well, was just making the city feel like it was alive too. It wasn't like static.
Yeah.
Like it never felt like that was a big problem with the TASM games, in my opinion.
Yeah.
Was that the city, I didn't feel like I was in an actual city.
Yeah.
Like the AI for the streets and stuff wasn't really that great. Now again, to be fair, that was also a limitation of the tech at the time.
Yeah.
Because that was like one of the first PS4 titles, I want to say.
But like it's kind of frustrating because like Spider-Man 2 for the PS2
had so much.
It felt like a real city.
Yeah,
too.
Exactly. But that was one thing I really was impressed by when I played the Insomniac games, was that the cities actually felt alive. I would kind of like, it would be kind of cool if they would have it that you could free roam in the Civ clothes. Like if you want to play as either like MJ or you want to play as Peter or Miles in just the street clothes, and you could switch into the costume at any time if you were playing as Peter or Miles. I think that would be something really, really cool, just for people that are like, you know, like just want to go around and screenshot stuff and like that would be really, really cool to do, honestly, is just have that. And it would add like a whole nother element of game, like replayability. You could even add like maybe like certain events only happen if you're in Civ clothes, like stuff like that. Just something to kind of add another element to the exploration. And if you do it in that way, you could honestly even make it that it doesn't count towards the 100%ing of the game. Yeah. That way, again, you don't make people feel like they're forced to go through and do it.
Yeah, it's more like...
It's kind of just more like, if you want to explore the city, here's another avenue from which to do it.
Yeah. But like one of the other things I meant with that comment, I think, was I would love to again see like Spidey and Miles. Like, I hope we do get Spidey and Miles like battles where like you like how in like Arkham Knight where like you could play as Batman. You could switch out and continue the combo. With
that's
Nightwing.
Exactly what I knew you were talking about, was like, those parts in Arkham
because
Knight.
Like imagine doing combos with two Spider-Men like knocking shit back and forth, like the combos you could get with that.
Yeah, it would be really cool. Like to see them be able to pull that off.
Yeah,
would be really, really like epic to see, honestly.
Another thing I'm like, even though I know it's, I do hope we see more of stuff from Miles's side of things, like from the Ultimate Spider-Man stuff. Like I actually wouldn't mind them doing his uncle as the Prowler in this universe, since we haven't gotten
I want to say he was even mentioned in the Miles game. I think it's been a while since I've played it. I haven't played it since it came out, and I didn't 100% it like I did with the first one. Yeah. But so I might have, like I said, I'm gonna go back and replay all of them. Yeah. So I at a later date, I can, if it can be corrected, I might put like an annotation in, like, hey, you know, put the date in, went back and replayed, yeah, he was mentioned, or yeah, he wasn't mentioned.
Because low-key, I wouldn't mind like if Miles gets to have his own story, we could do stuff with like him.
Or they could have like missions where it's exclusive to Miles, maybe, kind of like the same thing. You could have stuff that's like exclusive to Peter. Yeah.
You know, have it where like you'll find like Prowler or like marks and like have Miles investigate, like, because he knows that's his uncle. Or
yeah, that would be a good way if you're gonna have that ability to switch back and forth with them to kind of make it worth your while. Yeah. Again, going back to Arkham City. Yeah, we're like kind of like how there were areas of the game that you could only access if you were playing as Catwoman. Yeah. Or there were Riddler trophies that you could only get playing as Catwoman. You know, it would be really interesting to do that, and again, it would give you that incentive to play and try different areas as different characters.
I also always loved that with in Arkham City, where you would try to pick up a pink Catwoman as Batman, or it'll be like, "Hey, those aren't meant for you." I'm like,
really,
Nigma?
Yeah, but that again, and it would give you that incentive to do it. You know what I mean? If you wanted to like 100% it, you know, if you're obviously not interested in, you could just play as one or the other, but if you're like one of those people that like wants something to shoot for, basically, that would be a good way to give you an incentive to do it.
Yeah. We've also talked about the fact that like of the one trailer we've gotten, is the fact that Venom's going to be in this, and we're kind of curious.
I think it's Harry because
like,
I don't think there's been any mention of Eddie.
Yeah. I can't personally say I've heard anything of Eddie.
And again, it's been a while since I've replayed, so forgive me. I'm actually in the middle of replaying Insomniac.
Yeah.
I couldn't sleep one night, so I'm like, well, let's start up another playthrough of this. Because I have it on the PS5, and because I have the remaster.
Yeah.
And I hadn't played the remaster all the way through, because when Miles' game came out, I didn't know if I was going to get the PS5 when it came out.
Yeah.
So I bought both the PS4 and the PS5 version. Mm-hmm. I'm glad I did, because it took me almost 2 fucking years to get a PS5.
Yeah. Especially because I've heard that the PS4 one is kind of rough to play through.
What do you mean? The port?
Yeah, the Miles.
I never noticed anything wrong with it. So I don't know anything about that. I never noticed anything, but if you got the PS5 version and you got the ultimate version of it,
yeah,
you got the first game as the remaster, and that was the only way really to get it, was to buy that game. So I'm in the middle of replaying them.
Yeah.
And I'm also it continues this trend I have of bumping up my PSN trophy rating by playing the same fucking games on different, like, I've done that with Skyrim twice. And if they do a PS5 version of Skyrim, you know I'm going to do it a thrice. You know what I mean? Just to play. It's literally getting the same exact trophies, because for PS3 and PS4, the trophies are exactly identical.
Yeah.
Like there might be some stuff they added with PS4 because it was like remastered edition. Mm-hmm. But for the most part, the trophies are the exact same.
That doesn't
so you can
me.
kind of milk the trophy system with that way. And that's kind of what I'm doing with Insomniac's games too, because again, I've played through the first game a lot on the PS4.
Yeah.
And I played through Miles' game once on the PS4. So now that I'm doing it again on the PS5, it's kind of like I can kind of aim to get the same trophies, and it'll kind of like bump up my rating a little bit.
Interesting.
It's kind of interesting. You can kind of like milk the system a little bit.
Yeah. My other thing is I'm curious to see how this is going to play out into Peter getting the black suit in this reality. Given the like, I almost wonder if we're going to do something where like Peter gets like a part of Venom and he makes it into a suit, kind of something along a la the Ultimate Universe, where it's because clearly that's this
like
version
when they
of
did
Venom
when they did the cancer suit in Ultimate. Yeah. You mean?
So like it might be interesting. Like he finds a piece of it and he uses it to make a suit.
It'll be interesting if they find out that if that Venom is Harry, because I'm pretty sure it is. It'd be interesting if, and I say if because we still don't know. To me, the ending of the first game really set up that it was going to be Harry as Venom.
Yeah, I agree as well.
Like, they could pull some weird plot twist out of left field that I'm not seeing, but I'm like 95% sure it's Harry. It'll be interesting if it leads to them figuring out that it is Harry over the course of this game.
Yeah.
Or if they save that for either DLC or the next game.
Yeah.
I don't see why they would, you know what I mean? Unless they wanted to kind of stretch it out.
Yeah.
But or like have like they find out that it's Harry and then the end of that story picks up in the next game.
Yeah. It would be
kind of like how the in the main base game for the first one, you start tracking Black Cat.
Yeah.
But then if you want to actually do the Black Cat stuff, you have to get the DLC and play it.
Yeah.
Because it leads directly into the DLC.
That's the one where Hammerhead's a cyborg, right?
Yeah, parts of that. That's near the end of it. Yeah,
I can't believe they did that story.
But it leads in, you know. That's kind of like a good way if they want. Because I would imagine they're going to do DLC for it because they did DLC for the other one. If they want to do that route, they could maybe have it that there's that incentive.
Yeah.
But it's to me, it's also going to depend how much that ties into the main story. Because I don't know if they want to really end a main story beat in a DLC. That kind of to me would rub me the wrong way. Because they didn't do that. They didn't do that for the first game. You know, leading into the Black Cat thing. The Black Cat thing was a side mission. Mm-hmm. You know, it wasn't necessary for the main story beats. So I kind of hope they resolve it in the main story. Is what I mean. Like if they lead it into the DLC, not going to be a game breaker for me.
Yeah.
But would be kind of mildly frustrating.
It would rub me the wrong way.
Yeah, mildly frustrating because you would want the main story beats to finish out in the main story.
Of course.
And then we're also going to get Craven in this because I think, or at least I'm almost positive it's been ID'd that it's Craven.
Yeah.
Talking like over because there's in the trailer in case you haven't watched it. In which case, if you haven't, go look it up right now so you know what we're talking about. But there's a narration and it's got to be Craven because he mentions hunting and he's wanted a challenge and stuff. Yeah. It's got to be Craven, and it doesn't match Venom's voice at the end of the trailer. So it's got to be Kraven. So there's those two things. So I wonder are they going to adapt Kraven's Last Hunt at some point in this? Is that going to be connected to this story? Is that going to be DLC? You know, because if they do, I mean, that's a dark fucking story to do. I mean, if they want to do it, I have faith they can pull it off.
Oh God,
but man, it would be pretty dark to see that one.
If they do it, please don't include Vermin. He's like the worst part of that book.
I don't think they would, but I guess we can dive into stuff we want to see them try. I would actually. This is an interesting idea I had talking to him the other night. That is kind of leans also into the what we were talking about earlier with the bringing in obscure characters. It would be kind of cool to see them bring in somebody like the Rose.
Yeah. With
the Kingpin still being in jail, you know, like the Rose kind of steps in to try to like reorganize his empire and stuff, like what happened in the comics during the Hobgoblin stuff.
Especially because of the fact that like not only is the Kingpin out of commission, so is Mr. Negative.
Yeah, so it would be kind of interesting to see them go that route, because I think you could bring in kind of like a C-lister or a D-lister villain and do something like that, because they've already done it with Hammerhead.
Yeah.
And then they also did it with Tombstone, you know, where you can bring in these other like kind of like side list character villains almost, and have them have a part in the story, you know, because I would obviously think that would kind of be like a side story, is trying to stop the Rose from kind of like reorganizing Fisk's empire under his own control. That could be something they could do. It could lead to them bringing back like the Stronghold missions that were in the first game. If they wanted to bring those back, that would be a good way to get it in there and have it make sense, you know, storyline wise, and it wouldn't feel out of place. Not to mention it would be kind of cool to see them just do that nod to like an obscure-ish kind of character. Yeah,
or especially an obscure story like the Gang War.
Yeah. Because they've shown that they're willing to reference obscure shit, honestly. Like some of the costumes were really obscure in that, in my opinion at least. I feel like there were little references here and there to stuff that was kind of like a little more on the obscure side, in terms of like the casual person wouldn't really know that without looking it up, versus somebody like us that's like done a lot of like lore diving would instantly be like, oh, they're gonna do that.
No, that would be especially because like if you didn't want to do the Green Goblin in this, you could have it that Norm is like made like Hobgoblin gear for like Kingsley or even Mackendale if you don't want to use Kingsley.
Yeah, I'm going to dive into that a little bit when we talk about villains we want to see.
Because I know you said, like if they, for some reason, don't want to have the Green Goblin this, you could do,
if they
like...
wanted to, like, maybe go, like, I was just about to say, like, go, like, the TAS route.
Where, like, you have the Hobgoblin be, like, you have it that, like, Norman is, like... He makes the character because he wants to use him to slander Spider-Man because of Spider-Man's good press he has currently.
I guess let's get into the villains aspect. Yeah. So, in the first game, we had Hammerhead, Tombstone... Screwball, Scorpion, Vulture, Electro, Shocker, Doc Ock. Am I missing one? I feel like I'm missing one. Did I say Scorpion?
Yeah.
Okay.
You did have Kingpin. Did you say Kingpin?
Kingpin.
Yeah, you did say Kingpin. Oh, Mr. Negative.
Mr. Negative. Silver Sable, kind of. I guess if you want to. She was kind of like a villain in this.
Like,
or an antagonist at the very least. So we had a really good amount. Mysterio was mentioned.
Yeah.
So we've had a really, like, decent chunk of the really big, well-known villains be in the first game. Rhino. Rhino was the other one I was thinking of. Rhino. Yeah, he was in that. So we had a really good chunk of all the really well-known ones. The only ones that we didn't see that me and Adam think are, like, kind of like the little more on the well-known side were... Obviously, we had Norman in the game, but he wasn't the Goblin.
Yeah.
I'll get into a little bit of kind of like what I would like to see from him in a little bit, but like Sandman and Hydro Man would be kind of cool to see them bring in. If they wanted to do the fight where like
they become the Mudman.
Yeah, that would be kind of cool.
And that would be a really good way to do like.
And they could have like they could have it like a 2v1 boss battle, kind of like what they had with Vulture and Electro in the first game. That would be something really cool. Like, you know, you beat one or the other.
Yeah.
And then that Mudman thing happens. That would kind of be a really cool thing to do. Even if they didn't do it right away, like, you know, you beat both of them, and then it happens later on down the line, that Mudman battle happens. That would be something, to me, would be epic to see, because I remember remember as a kid looking through the DK Ultimate Spider-Man guide, and just reading about that and being like, man, that would be crazy to see in a movie. You know what I mean? But just to see it because I think they could do that in a game, and it would even like. I would actually love to see them just do Sandman, even if they don't want to do one. If they only want to do one or the other, I think doing Sandman would be really, really cool. Because again, he's one of the more at this point in time, I think he's one of the more well-known villains. Because he was in Spider-Man 3 and he was in No Way Home.
Yeah.
So it would be cool to see him do that. And again, you could come up with creative ways to fight him, like throwing water on him, because I know they did that in Spider-Man 2 Enter Electro, and they did it in Lego Marvel Superheroes.
Yeah.
That's like a way to fight him. They could do that even, and not only would it be like a cool little homage to those other games, it would be something that, again, would feel really, really like in character. Like you can't really fight Sandman head on.
No, because he'll just explode into sand.
Yeah, exactly. So you have to kind of it would showcase like, Peter's creativity when he's fighting villains, is that he figures out like, I got to hit him with water and get him wet so he's solid, That would be kind of cool to do.
Because this is a more experienced Spider-Man anyways, given he's done it for like a lot longer in this universe.
Yeah, and then I don't know how they would do a Hydro Man fight. Maybe he
that'd be easy.
Get him somewhere where there's like maybe like a construction site where there was not a lot of water
or cement and make him into cement, or even do something where like Peter gets like some sort of like chemical in his webbing that allows him to freeze, or even make it that the webbing like somehow binds him up. There's a lot of ways you can do that with old Hydro Man.
So I guess we could even do like, do you want to do a top 5 villains you want to see in this game? I guess
top 5.
I'll start with mine. I guess I'll give you some time to think because I'm kind of springing this on you. I had some time to think about this last night. So, obviously I'm gonna put in. My top 5 is definitely going to be, number 1's going to be Green Goblin.
Yeah.
If they don't do Goblin in this, I would love to see them set him up for the third one. Because, again, we've had all the iconic Spider-Man villains so far.
Yeah.
For the most part. Like, in my opinion, there's 2 villains I place as like a AAA category in terms of how much damage they've done to Peter's life, and we had one of them in the first game, which was Doc Ock.
Yeah.
Green Goblin is the other one, and to me, Green Goblin is like the ultimate. He's the Joker to Peter's Batman, basically.
No,
so
he really is.
And they kind of hinted at Green Goblin becoming a thing in the first game, like he had the mask that was in the penthouse that MJ found, and the code for the lab was the release date of his first appearance in the ASM. The pumpkin bombs were there, so they've hinted that he's gonna do it. We just don't know when. So again, like I would love to see them do it in this game, but if they don't, man, that's gonna create some. And they hint that it's gonna happen in the third game. That's gonna send my hype for it already through the roof.
That's the side. I admire that they
didn't just go straight to it.
Like because they could have done what Rocksteady did and just have the Green Goblin be in every fucking game. Or even have Venom in every
game. I think the way they're doing it, like I said, if they build up to him being the main guy in the third game, which to me, if I were a writer on this, I would definitely do that because, again, that anticipation leading up to it, like we saw in the first game, the first steps towards it. Say in this game, he gets a little closer to it, or he does the serum and stuff, and that's like the end of the game when he does that. By the time we get to the third game, man, it's gonna be such a rewarding payoff. To have Green Goblin there.
Yeah.
Just because again, he's like the ultimate Spider-Man villain in my opinion.
No, he really is. The only one I think that comes close would be Doc Ock, and that's just because Doc Ock has been around since the beginning, basically.
Yeah.
Like he's like what, ASM 3 that when we had Doc Ock?
Yeah, like I know some people are probably gonna bring up like Venom, and I'm like I actually don't consider Venom to be a AAA category.
He's definitely one of the big.
He's in an A class for me.
He's one of the big 3, but like the problem with Venom is that he has had almost no consistency since he was created back in the late 80s.
Yeah, whereas like these
Venom,
other characters, I kind of like, there's that consistency, so...
Like, not helping by the fact that he's now, most of the time, a good guy in the modern era.
Yeah, and then my number 2 would probably be Sandman, I guess. Like, if I'm going to have to pick over one or the other between Hydro Man and Sandman, excuse me, I'm probably going to pick Sandman just because, again, I have that kind of connection because, Spider-Man 3 was a big part of my childhood growing up. So, I like Sandman. And, again, he was always one of those villains that I thought was just so creative as a kid, and, like, would make such a challenge to fight in this game, like, for the reasons we mentioned. My number three villain. Who am I gonna pick? I could throw the Jackal out, but I'm not going to do that.
No,
well, especially because we don't even know if there's like Gwen Stacy in this universe, so I don't think it's fair to do that.
Yeah,
because I know we talked about maybe they're like him hinting at like a Clone Saga. I don't know if they're going to do that.
I mean, to be fair, if they do a Clone Saga, they probably do like the ultimate version of it, which I wouldn't mind because I actually love that way they did the Clone Saga in that. But
probably honestly, my number three, given that we have Venom in this game, would probably be Carnage. Because they've done Carnage in games before.
Yeah.
Because, Neversoft, Spider-Man 2000, and then he was also in the TASM 2 video game. Like, it would be cool to see him there, but I don't know if they're going to do it in this game, if they do it at all.
I feel like
it would be kind of something to set up for the next game, or even like DLC. Mm-hmm. But, like, I know I mentioned to you that, like, if we had a battle where Ock got out, and him and Carnage were team up, and the minute if they even remotely looked like they were gonna do like Monster Ock, I would be like, okay, that's it. That's where the game's getting fucking turned off. I ain't playing this again.
All of a sudden you hear.
For those who don't know what we're talking about, at the end of Neversoft Spider-Man 2000, which you haven't played it, go play it. It's a really good game.
That game is really good.
If you get it for PC, it runs on modern systems without a hitch. You don't have to monkey with it at all.
No,
and the PC version has better graphics anyway because it uses the Dreamcast textures. But at the end of the game, you fight Doc Ock and Carnage basically.
Yeah.
And the Carnage symbiote actually goes off of Cletus and bonds to an unconscious Ock. So it's like puppeteering his body with the mechanical arms around.
Yeah, and it is the most horrifying thing you will see.
And it's like a chase sequence, so you have to run away from him, but he's rubber banded. So if you get far enough away, it'll catch him up. And it is nerve-wracking to play. Yeah. I can't even imagine playing that on the highest difficulty. That would probably be like put me in the hospital in the psych ward, honestly, trying to do that. But
I think if I've seen that played on the hardest difficulty, you literally cannot make a single mistake because the rubber band is not forgiving in that because of the because how bullshit.
You probably have to have it memorized, honestly.
Yeah, no, you straight up would have to have it memorized.
But like I said, I don't think they would do it in this game if we have Venom. But I could see them kind of like with Green Goblin. I could see them hinting at it because again, he's another one of those iconic Spider-Man villains, and he was just in a movie not too long ago. So it would be kind of cool to see them set that up. And again, if they don't want to do it in this game, you could set it up for DLC or you could set it up for the next game. Yeah. And it would be really, really cool, because if Carnage were to show up, you could have it that, Venom and Peter and Miles have to team up to kind of beat him, kind of like how it was in Maximum Carnage almost. Yeah. That would be something kind of you could do with it, or you could even go the route of, in terms of setup, you could have it be a mission to take down Cletus Cassidy just as himself in this game.
Ooh, yeah,
they kind of did that in TASM 2 a little bit. So it would be kind of cool. That would be a way to set it up, and then have it that at the end of the game, we could have the hint that he's going to turn into Carnage. I don't know how they would do it because if Venom is not Eddie, I don't know how they would do that if they wanted to just kind of like copy and paste Eddie, put Harry over top of it, do that whole thing. I think they could come up with a creative way to do it that wouldn't be that bland in terms of copy paste.
You could do it given one of my ideas where Peter has a chunk of it and becomes has the symbiote suit. You have it in the last battle, like he
part of it embeds on,
or even
on
like he bites some of it off of him, like how he got it in Venom 2, the movie, where he bit Eddie and he drank some of the symbiote.
That would be kind of cool to see, honestly. That would be a really good and creative way to do it.
And it binds with his blood.
Like I said, that's just a couple ways I could see them doing it that would make sense and kind of be, again, it would be rewarding. It wouldn't just be that he just shows up and he's there. There would be that build up and there would be a payoff to it.
And as a side, you even though you couldn't do because I don't know if he's coming back, but you could set up, and because then in Spider-Man 3, the climax of that is after you beat, you have to fight Norman and Cletus in the same area.
Again, if they did Monster Ock, dude, I would probably text you and be like, dude, I'm fucking bugging out right now.
Like, you could do it where, like,
I can't do
you've
this.
beaten Norman as the Goblin and the symbiote and Carnage.
You want to do, like, Red Goblin?
But, like it would be kind of cool where, like, you've beaten both of them, and then all of a sudden the Carnage symbiote leaps onto Norman.
That would be kind of cool. That would be a cool way to do that.
Because for real,
I'm not a big fan of the Red Goblin
thing, but
that would be kind of cool. That would be a cool boss battle.
And it would be a great homage to Monster Hog, even though it's not
the same, but it would be something like that.
Something like that. That would be
my number 4 is gonna be Mysterio. We kind of had the level in the first game where Peter's been poisoned by Scorpion, where it's kind of like a dreamscape type level with stuff, and you're like swinging through the city and it's like it's like flooding and everything.
Yeah.
He's hallucinating stuff. You could kind of do that again with Mysterio and have it be like a totally different type of thing because Mysterio with all his illusions and stuff. I think there's a risk if you do that because people could be like, oh, well, that's an identical copy of something that already happened in the first game.
Or complaining about.
But I think if you do it well, it could be really, really cool.
Yeah.
To have it that it's Mysterio, and you could even have it that it's like multiple fights with him.
Yeah.
Where you can even have it like he makes you think that you're somewhere else from like the other 2 games or from Peter's past, stuff like that. It could be something really, really cool like that.
Yeah.
Like, for all we know, like, there could be a part where, Mysterio hits him with these illusions.
Yeah.
And... Man, I'm kind of leaning into this, and I kind of realized, like, the idea I had, it's a little more like a Scarecrow type of tactic.
Yeah.
Would be, like, have Peter think he's like in the building where the robbery happened.
Okay.
With the burglar, and kind of like make him relive that. But that's kind of like more leaning towards Scarecrow tech.
What you could
guess is that maybe Mysterio does something and it kind of like kicks that off, maybe.
Actually,
but I don't know how they would do that.
I have an idea. And because I was probably going to bring up Mysterio too. Have it be that there's a psychiatrist that's trying to talk to Spider-Man because he wants to study the...
Kind of like how he's been retconned to be Mary Jane's therapist, and that's what led into for the retcon of Sins Past, it was that Mysterio was behind all of it because Harry paid him, and that... Mary Jane's therapist during that era was Mysterio, actually.
Well, I was actually, in the lead up to issue 200 of Amazing, a psychiatrist tries to trick Spider-Man into thinking he's going insane, and he like does all these things to mess with him, and it's revealed that it's Mysterio that's just been fucking with him.
Oh, okay. So like my idea wasn't totally like out of character with that.
But, I was gonna have it like this.
When I first thought of it, and the more I kind of like started vocalizing it, I was like, man, I'm thinking like straight up like stuff like Scarecrow did in Arkham Asylum.
But like you could have it like this psychiatrist wants to like study Spider-Man, and it's Peter being like or studying the psychology of superheroes, and have it be that he's like he makes it seem like Peter's losing his powers, or like think like that being Spider-Man has driven him crazy.
The only problem with that would be the setup to, does Mysterio know Peter is Spider-Man?
Well, no, he wants to study Spider-Man specifically. Like this psychiatrist actually like tricks Spider-Man into thinking like, I want to help you guys, you superheroes. I know some of you deal with probably a lot of mental health. I'd like to like study for like a book I'm writing. And
it could even be that like he tries to use Peter to get to Spider-Man, because obviously that connection's already there, that he worked for the Bugle.
Yeah,
there could kind of be that connection, and then obviously if he inputs that kind of stuff in Peter while he's just Peter, and then later on when he's fighting Mysterio, it could activate.
And you like have stuff like that. Even
that could be a way to do that, but you kind of get what I'm saying. That would be an interesting thing to do with those illusions, and not have it just be a straight up copy paste of the Scorpion fight from the first game.
But like I said, you could do some interesting stuff with Mysterio. Like you could even do a callback to like the one mission in 2 where you go through like this apartment building that Mysterio is rigged into like a fun house kind of bullshit.
Oh, kind of like you're talking about the Neversaw. Are you're talking Spider-Man 2 the game?
Yeah,
right?
Spider-Man 2 the game. Yeah.
Okay, because I never actually played through all that. So
because there's a part during one of the Mysterio missions where you straight up go into this apartment and it like is a maze, and it'll like turn upside down and shit, and like you get like
Jesus.
It like literally Mysterio fucks with you that entire level, and so by the time you get to his boss fight, you just beat the shit.
You just want to beat the shit out of him, basically. Well, it's kind of like the fight Neversoft Spider-Man. By the end of that, you literally just want to pummel the hell out of him.
Yeah. So do you have any more villains?
And then my number 5 pick is probably going to be. Let's see. Honestly, I'm gonna go for another deep cut on this one. I'm gonna say put the Man-Wolf in there.
That would actually be interesting.
Because again, another homage to Spider-Man 2, the game. Because Man-Wolf's in there.
Yeah.
That would be kind of cool to do.
Well, they brought up John anyways, because in Jameson's podcast, he brings him up. So you could easily do Man-Wolf.
And again, I kind of like the idea of like having these side missions where, you know, they're not exactly the really big name characters.
Yeah.
You know, but like have us like kind of like give like the C and the D listers a chance to shine.
Yeah.
You could kind of do that with Man-Wolf, and again, I think it would be kind of cool because it would be a double-edged sword.
Yeah.
It could be a fun mission, as well as, you know, like people that have played Spider-Man 2 the game could be like, oh, this is exactly like Spider-Man 2 the game.
Yeah.
You know, where we had that fight with him. That would be kind of cool to do. I don't know how much they want to do homages to that kind of stuff. I know they did really, really well in the first game with it, to the point that like there are buildings in that game that are in Spider-Man 1 the game, like the Neversoft game, I mean.
Yeah.
There's stuff like that that's there. There's all like the people that make the Spider-Man games at Insomniac, you can tell that they really love the source material. I give the same praise to them that I give to the Spider-Verse crew, is that you can tell there's a type of respect and a type of like admiration for the source material, to the point that they don't shy away from doing stuff that might be like potentially deep cuts or potentially like a little bit on like the crazier side of stuff.
Yeah.
So it would be kind of cool to see them do that. It just, again, it all depends on how much do they want to do homages to other games.
So I guess we could start with mine. We'll start off with the one that I agree with you is Mysterio, because even though he's kind of lame, I love that character.
He's an iconic character, and again, out of all the people that we had in the first game, he was really the only member besides Kraven of the original Sinister Six that we didn't get.
And it would just be cool to see, like, because again, you can do so much fun stuff with his abilities.
Yeah.
But yeah, like I have an attachment to him for some odd reason. I think it's just because he's so doofy looking. But he's oddly
with the fishbowl.
But he's also oddly formidable.
He's formidable. You know, like you don't want to underestimate him as a villain.
Yeah, because he's always got some trick up his.
I mean, he almost made Daredevil kill himself.
and then Daredevil was like, "You suck. You lose to a dude called Spider-Man. You're not even one of the ones he gives a shit about. I've talked with him about it." Like, he was so sad. He was like, "Well, my last act I've stole from Kraven the Hunter." Shoots himself in the head. Which I'm like, really, Beck? But no, I would like to see him. We went over. I'd like to see something like Big Wheel.
The ones we've gone over, we don't feel like you have to like add or embellish.
Big Wheel in the Rock, mostly because like I like those characters, and a part of me kind of would love to see them do stuff from like.
Well, and again, it would be kind of cool to see them do like race missions. It's kind of like another bonus thing to do. Kind of like with the. Again, kind of like the screwball challenges in the first game, or like the collectibles and stuff.
Yeah.
Even like, kind of honestly, like the pizza challenges in Spider-Man 2 the game.
This one's
imagine if they brought those back.
Yeah.
That would be kind of nuts.
This one is kind of out of left field and probably not possible, but something I think would be cool. Is do a Marvel character that originally started as a villain and became heroic later, but like. Low-key, I wouldn't mind them doing the Punisher in this game. Like, were you like...
Kind of like how he first appeared in Amazing Spider-Man.
Yeah.
Kind of doing homage to that. It would be kind of cool as well. I kind of see what you're going with.
Like, even have, like, missions where, like, it's him trying to shoot you. And, like, you have to, like, dive for cover. And you have to get close to him.
I don't want to take too much thunder off it, because it's your list. It would also be kind of cool because I know that they've made references to other stuff in the Marvel Universe in the other games, like Avengers Tower is there, or the Sanctorum is there. They mentioned like the Baxter Building.
Yeah.
It would be, they've done all these references to other Marvel parts of the universe, and not to mention they're also making the Wolverine game.
Yeah.
So it would be kind of cool to see them do that, because again, it hints that it's a bigger world. It's not just Spider-Man stuff, but it's like a Marvel universe on its own.
Because like. And I know it might be because they don't have the rights to that character, because probably the Punisher's video game rights are
either that or like maybe Marvel
was like, no, don't.
Disney doesn't want to do it.
But like low key, like I would love to see the Punisher like you could do something even cooler where the Punisher's like, I see you in, like, do something like how they did with him in the Netflix Daredevil series, where it's about him being like, you don't get results. They come right back out of jail. I put them down, and like you could have like this, like the game,
kind of like a battle of ideologies,
and it would be like, or even have it that like he like the mayor put a bounty on your head, Webhead. I'm here to collect. You know, like
something like that. That would be kind of cool.
It'd be cool to do something like kind of Deadshot-y, like where like you have missions with like where
oh
he's
man, we're
like,
gonna have a tank battle.
No, that was Deathstroke. I like how like Deadshot would like you'd have missions where like you have to get close to him, but you can't. So like
kind of like how it was in Arkham City.
Yeah, like do that, like, but like you have like different missions where like he comes after you at certain points in the game, and you have to try and like he's testing you because he's.
And again, there's another comparison you could draw there with he shows up and never saw Spider-Man. So there's another thing you could be like, oh, it's kind of like an homage.
But if you couldn't use him, there is another Spider-Man villain that uses guns. You could do the Sin Eater.
Oh God, that would be
like
that
if you
would
can't
be
do
such
Punisher,
that would be such a deep cut.
But like
honestly,
you could do, you could do him. I mean, granted, I don't know how you could do that without
would be
John
really
DeWolf, but
that would be really cool.
Like,
well, actually, I know a way they could do it. I know a way they could do it now because remember, Yuri isn't on the police force anymore because she's the Wraith.
Yeah,
have it that Joan DeWolf is her replacement. There you go.
That works.
That
I mean, it'd be sad because she dies.
Like, I know that like there's two ways they could do that if they want to introduce some other Spider-Man related characters.
Yeah.
If they want to introduce Joan DeWolf, there would be an end to do that. That would make sense. They could also be, you know, what would be really cool if they want to introduce the Stacys. Have it that, that Captain Stacy is the replacement for Yuri.
Yeah.
That would be a cool way to do that in universe.
And you could have him
on stuff.
You could have him work with Peter. Be like, I need your help, Spider-Man. There's this crazy.
That would make sense.
That would actually
in either case, you know, Joan DeWolf or Captain Stacy, they both have a support for Spider-Man. So there's your in.
That could actually work too because like you could have it that like the more Spider-Man explores these murders, like trying to stop Stan, the more. So like at the end of it, you're like beating the shit, like almost like that scene in Arkham Knight where you're beating the shit out. But it's like dark and you just have to keep beating him and he like you hear him get more and more hurt and you're like, I don't want to do this more until eventually Captain Stacy's like, son, I know you want to bring him down, but that
would be something very, very cool. I would love to see them do that because again, that's like enough of a deep cut that it would be really cool to introduce people to that story.
Yeah.
And again, for some reason, it's one of the highest videos on our fucking channel.
Yeah.
That video about it. I don't know why, but
like both of those are great
because it's out of print.
Like both of those are great ideas, right? Like either him or Punisher. Like I would love to see either of those just because it'd be cool to see them do like a character that's more commonly known, but like have him be like a villain in the Spider-Man book. Like
and like I said, I like those ideas as well as like, you know, bring up like you could have Captain Stacy introduced into that. That would be again, those are kind of cool ways to get more characters introduced.
Yeah.
That it wouldn't feel contrived, you know, it would kind of feel like a natural progression to things.
Yeah. I've already stated Hobgoblin because I'm like it could be cool to see him be like a prototype for Green Goblin where like maybe he's trying to do a different cure for Harry that turns out to be the Goblin formula.
Yeah.
And he tries it on Hobby and like he's like, no, it clearly didn't make him strong enough. And so then, you know, he's testing and then he, you know, much like in the Raimi film, decides to try it on himself first.
Yeah.
To see what it would do. And then that's how you jump into Spider-Man 3 where it turns out it's driven him crazy.
Yeah, I like that idea.
The other one, and it's more just because I would like to see him, is the Lizard.
I was just going to say there's another one because I think Connors is even mentioned in the first game. I want to say he is.
I want to say they did it where like kind of like in the Raimi films where Peter worked with Connors first, but because he's...
I actually straight up think he's mentioned as one of the collectibles, honestly, is that it was working on a cure for Dr. Connors. I want to say that was
actually,
mentioned.
Yeah, you're right.
I want to say he was mentioned, but we don't see him.
Yeah, it'd be interesting to see him show up, maybe even have it that like you start like Billy finds Spider-Man being like, you got to help my dad. I think he's become, and it maybe even turns out it's not him turning into the Lizard.
If they want to bring, here's another idea, just kind of play devil's advocate a little bit. If you want to bring back those puzzle things that like Ock had in the lab, stuff, you know, like the diagram things and like the sample stuff, kind of like that. Not only was in Ock's lab, but also the Oscorp labs that were the side mission with Harry. Having that you do that in Connor's lab, and then you come back at one point and it's been fucking like torn apart and stuff. Like he's become the Lizard again.
I actually came up with
that would be kind of cool.
Now we've talked about this, I came up with an even better idea. Like, have it where Billy's like, I think my dad might be turning into the Lizard again. And Peter's like, oh no, I gotta help Kurt. It turns out that Kurt does turn into the Lizard. It turns out he was forced by someone else. And it's the dude who turns into Stegron the Dinosaur Man. He's using Kurt's experiments to make himself...
That would be cool, but I don't know if they're gonna do that.
I mean, I don't know if they could do that, but like, I'm coming up with ideas where it's like, it turns out Kurt's like, no, you gotta help.
Yeah, that would be really, really cool. I'm not disagreeing with you. That would be really, really fucking cool.
No, maybe even
but that is so much of a deep cut that I don't know how they would even be able to do that.
Yeah. Well, I mean, you could just have it be like this dude's like, I was interested in reviving dinosaurs, or like, I want to turn myself into a living dinosaur man because like
I say this like they didn't do Mr. Negative or Tombstone or Hammerhead.
Speaking of Mr. Negative, I had this idea too. Have the villain Override show up from Brand New Day, the one that can like he touches things and it, like you could do another way to do the races, or even like like how you did the car chases, like where it's Peter having to stop Override because he's jacked some like really
some like big tech.
Maybe even it ends on a boss part where he's like
you could even be like he's like stealing tech from like Oscorp or Alchemex.
Yeah. I also kind of, and this is one I just wish I'd like to see. I'd love to see the Spider Slayers because I
also agree with you on that. I don't say that just because I have the Spider Slayer toy from TAS, which I'm so glad that that you pointed that out because I was like, I'm fucking buying that.
You still need the Tarantula and the Black Widow, but which as an aside, though,
I hope I'm sure at some point we'll run across more of those toys.
But like as an aside, I always found that hilarious in TAS that they're such fucking references. Like, cause you had the Scorpion, which is hilarious, because then literally like an episode later, the Scorpion shows up, but the big blue one's the Tarantula, and the other one's Black Widow. Almost a Black Arachnia, like we're talking about Beast Wars.
But yeah, so now we've done the villains. Another thing I would kind of like to see in terms of the collectibles is this is a return from another game. It's gotta be a reference to Spider-Man Neversoft. I'm just gonna let you know in advance. I'm gonna reference this game a fucking lot because in my opinion, it's the only game that's besides Spider-Man 2, the game that's ever come fucking close.
Yeah.
Like to how much if I had to like make an A-class caliber Spider-Man games category, it would be Insomniac, Neversoft, and Spider-Man 2 the game. Those would be the three that I would have in that top class.
No, that's fair.
Top quality, top of the line. I would like to see the return of the comic book covers.
No, that'd be awesome.
As a collectible. Kind of like how in Neversoft Spider-Man, you would, collect the comics and you could go in, there'd be like a viewer in the menu and it would tell you like, this came out on this date and, something about it. I don't know how they would do it in a way that it would make sense in universe. You know what I mean? Because I don't think they didn't really do that for the suits.
True.
But it would be, if they could figure out a way to do it, it would be really, really cool, honestly, because that was one of my favorite parts of the Neversoft game as a kid.
Yeah.
Was collecting all the comic books. I remember, dude, there was one time I lost a boss battle against Carnage because that comic shows up in the middle of the force field and like I'm trying to get in there and I got like no health and stuff. I got in there and then he killed me and I was like, I at least got the comic so I could look at it because like when I grew up, the internet wasn't really as big as it was. I didn't know there was like there wasn't any sites at that point that I knew of where you could look this kind of shit up. Wikipedia was a fucking far off flung dream at that point. But so like that was that part of that game where you could go through the covers and it would tell you about it and stuff and you could look it up. You could bring it up on full screen, just kind of soak it in. Between that and the DK guide, that was like my introduction to the world of Spider-Man.
More or less was
just
mine
going
too.
Through those and just like kind of like soaking in the lore and just learning about it and stuff.
Yeah.
That was really how I did it, and before the age of the internet, like you're almost, I almost say if you're just getting into comics now, man, you got it like made, compared to how it was back in the day. Like, when you had to know someone that knew about this shit, like they had read the issues or they had it, and they were like, oh well, let me explain it to you. Like you had to do some footwork back in the day to do this kind of stuff. Like it's so much easier now. Like I wish we had the kind of information out there on the internet now. I wish we had that back in the day when I was a kid because, man, I would have had a field day.
No, like, especially because I always, as an aside, I always hate where people, it's like, well, I don't know where to start. I'm like, You have the ability.
Yeah,
to
you have
look
it
that
so
shit
much
up.
easier than anybody has before.
Do
you can have literally the internet.
Do you know how
you have YouTube? You have video. Like,
Yeah.
that was one of the first things I ever watched on fucking YouTube. Was this guy? Oh, what was his name? He's still on YouTube. You can still find these videos. Fuck. But if you look up Spider-Man class, like 101, he used to do all kinds of videos about it, and he would just they were such bare bones. They were just him in front of the camera, and he'd have like some issues behind him, and he would just be like, like this is another episode of Spider-Man Class, where he would like be like, in this issue, this is like the first appearance, and this is what happens. That was some of my favorite stuff as a kid, because again, he went into stuff, and it was stuff that I couldn't look up anywhere.
Yeah, like
it was interesting, So like, again, like people nowadays, man, you got it made. There's thousands of YouTube channels that do that kind of stuff. Again, back in the day when YouTube first started, that guy was like the only guy I knew that did that kind of shit.
Like, you know how many issues of random ass comics I had as a kid? I never saw the finish of it. I was sometimes in the middle of the story.
Same here. One of my first X-Men comics was, I didn't have any idea what the fuck was going on.
Some random ass issue, and you're like, I don't know what the hell's going on.
Yeah.
But nowadays you could just buy a trade and it would have every single issue.
All right, now we went on this big rant, getting back to it. But that would be a kind of cool thing to add to the collectible system, would be the comic covers. Again, I don't know how they would do it
I have an
in
idea.
universe. Like, maybe like someone is doing Spider-Man comics in universe, and like that's just like, he kind of like goes around and collects them. It like kind of like how you can do the newspapers for the Daily Bugle. You can pull them up and look at them. You could do something like that. Like, it's somebody in universe fan making them. And, it's kind of like it leads into the collectible system for it. That would be a cool way to do it, I
had
guess.
an idea. It could be kind of like the backpack system. Maybe it's like Peter is actually finding like old camera rolls, and instead of being like pictures of his actual story,
that would be really
like
cool.
Whenever you find them, instead of being a picture, it's the issues. Like, oh man, this brings me back to the first time I ever fought.
Or even if it's like
Sandman.
in-game renders of famous covers, that would be kind of cool as well.
Like, just kind of have something silly where it's like Peter pulls it, like finds old camera rolls these left around to Spider. Maybe like, oh man, this takes me back to the first time I fought Sandman. It's just literally the cover.
That would be a cool way to do that. I like that.
It'd be kind of silly, and you'd be like, what? But like, it'd be fun.
Another thing I would really like is, say if they do bring back the MJ missions and stuff, put some alternate costumes in there for her. I would really like that. Kind of like how you have for Peter and Miles. Like, and there's quite a few you could choose from. You could go with the iconic, the jeans and the white T-shirt with the Spider-Man heart on it.
You could do the TAS costume.
I was just gonna say, you could do the TAS one. That was a big one for me. You could do like the Raimi one.
The Raimi one. The outfit from the MTV show.
Yeah, there's all kinds of MJ outfits you could add that would be really, really cool to do.
You could have her smoking.
No, don't do that. But you kind of get what I'm saying. Like, it would be kind of cool to see them give a little bit more variety to MJ's attire in that game, because they already knocked it out of the park with the suits for Spider-Man and for Miles. Like with those two, between Peter and Miles, they knocked it out of the park with all their suits.
Agree. No.
Especially love in the Miles Morales game, where the Spider-Verse suit is animated at different frame rates and stuff on the PS5. That's such a level of detail that I love. And again, it shows just how much they care about these games. So I would kind of like to see them take it up a notch and be like, hey, we could throw in some costumes for MJ that you could kind of swap between and stuff. That would be kind of cool.
If you bring Spider-Cat back, please don't kill him.
Oh, Spider-Cat. Yeah, it took me a minute. I was like...
No, like the cat. I know his name's technically Spider-Man, but...
Spider-Cat.
Like,
but yeah, that would be cool to do. I guess real quick before we start wrapping up, because we're almost at an hour. Yeah. Suits I would like to see them do in this game.
I already know what you're gonna say.
I'm about to say, you already know the one I'm going to bring up. Is front and center. Give me Ben Reilly's spectacular Spider-Man suit.
Oh, that was actually not the one I thought you were going to say.
I'm going to ask you which one it is in a minute, but I want that fucking Ben Reilly costume so goddamn bad. Like, because it is such an underappreciated suit, not only for Ben, but the fact that it's also later on it's Mayday's costume in MC2. Give me that fucking suit. You already did the Scarlet Spider one in the first one. Give me the other one, please. What is the other one you thought I was going to say? Is it the black suit?
No, I was going to say Unlimited.
Yeah, the unlimited too.
That was the one I thought you were going to
with
do.
the web cape. It makes sense, Jared. I'm telling you, it makes sense.
It was weird they didn't have the web glider for Miguel, so I don't see why that would be so weird.
I would love that one too, because that you could even add like a suit ability, like temporarily turn invisible.
Yeah,
that would be fucking cool.
That'd be cool.
I would love to see that because again, Spider-Man Unlimited to me is such an underrated show. We got to review that this year. We got to do it.
That means I got to rewatch that again. I haven't watched that since I was a kid.
No, I know, but we got to do it. I love that show. But so those two, again. Everybody wants the classic black symbiote suit. Yeah. Everybody wants that one.
If you do that though, I would love if you did a red variant version of it since the original idea for that suit was it was supposed to be red
with the red one, that would be cool
like
to do.
Homaging because like for those of you who don't know about the black suit, or like it was actually an idea a fan had that they wrote into Marvel and they sold to them. But originally his idea was that it was going to be black with red eyepieces and a red spider symbol. So I would love if they
Tom DeFalco actually did a story a couple years back about it.
But it's also,
I actually have it.
I think that's also why Mayday's Venom one from Earth X is red and black.
Yeah, it's kind of like an homage to
the original idea. But like that would be hilarious if you had a symbiote version and then one where the only difference is the eye and the spider are red. I would love. If not even that, just do the Earth X Venom, even though it's like kind of like how they did like Beyond with Bruce.
That would be kind of cool. Another one I would like is a return from another game. Do the Alex Ross suit.
That would be
the one that he did for
Raimi.
That he did for the Raimi movie. That would be really cool to do. I would love to see that one because they already did the Raimi suit, and I feel like that and the TASM suits, along with maybe the MCU suits, I think those are going to make a comeback. They're going to return because those were such in high demand.
If not, maybe do like an amazing fantasy version of the costume where it has
like I was about to say with the web pits.
Like make it look like it like almost like the Alex Ross way he draws it, where it's almost kind of like an actual showman.
You could even do like the cell shading on it, like they did for that one suit in the first game. That would be really really cool to do. Another one I would like to see return would be again because It's hard because they did all the really big ones. They did the
spider armor in the first one,
yeah,
right?
They did spider armor. That's in there. They did Iron Spider. They did all the really, really big ones.
Yeah, like they even
and
did
the ones I could throw in are going to be just some wildly.
Oh, I actually had one. The assassin one that he has in the one What If, where Wolverine trains him to be an assassin after
that
they kill Charlemagne.
Cool. I've got another one. What about the one where this is from What If?
Yeah. Okay.
What if Spider-Man joined the Fantastic Four, where it's the suit with the 5 logo on it?
That would be super
That would be a cool deep cut to do because they've shown they can do. They're okay with doing some oddball costume choices. Yeah. That one would be kind of cool. One for me would be doing a either the new animated series version of the suit. Okay. Or doing the TAS one. I think that would be really, really cool because they've shown they can do the animated ones because, again, they did Spider-Verse in the first game. So that would be cool to do. And they also did Spider-Verse Miles for his game. So they've shown they can do these animated ones. That would be really cool.
Yeah.
If they could get the licensing for it because they already have them in Across the Spider-Verse, put in the really blocky and pixelated PS1 Spider-Man as a suit. That would be fucking incredible. I would love that because it would be so goofy looking.
Yeah. I don't know how they could do this without making it kind of weird. I wouldn't mind if you like became like the Spider-Ham from like the original comic. Not like the Porky Pig one from Spider-Verse. Like just all of a sudden he is Spider-Ham. Like he has like the goofy fit. Like he's just like semi shorter, and he's.
You could even have it that he kind of is like a ghost thing, kind of like what happened with him and Spider-Gwen.
Yeah,
you could kind of do something like that, maybe even that. Yeah. Again, that might be a little too goofy, but it would be kind of funny to see. Another one I would like to see would probably be. I'm just gonna say it. I would love to see fucking 90s Clone Saga era Kane.
That would be
because they already did Kane's Scarlet Spider for the first game. Dude, can you imagine playing as Kane?
That would be so
trippy looking.
Weird.
Like with the cape and everything and the long hair.
Surreal. You know,
that would be awesome.
If they do that, they better also let me play a Spider side. I don't care that that's stupid looking. If we're gonna do Kane, you gotta put it in Spider side.
Yeah, because again, they did so many of the big suits already. Let's do one more and then we'll wrap up.
I can't think of any other suits. It's the problem. Because they've done.
I feel like they'll throw in that really ugly ass white and blue one that he did during the Beyond run. You know what I'm talking about? Yeah. I feel like they would do that one.
They probably will do the Beyond Ben Reilly Spider-Man costume.
Oh God. If they do that again, I would rather them do the classic one.
Well, if they do a classic one, I mean, if they do that in the Beyond one, just so that way they could do both versions.
Well, because they had two Iron Spiders. Yeah. So.
Maybe if for weird ones that have Spinneret, all of a sudden Peter turns into Spinneret, just kind of
I don't know if they'll do that.
I mean, I don't know if they could do, but that could be
I straight up don't think they'll do that.
That could be a tongue-in-cheek bonus DLC where if you complete the main game, you can turn into Spinneret,
or have it be that's maybe an MJ thing, like an AR or something.
Yeah, where it's you make a DLC where it's her imagining herself as a Spider-Man character.
That would be kind of cool. Well, it leads into a whole other thing. Do they want to attempt to do multiverse stuff?
I actually, when you brought up multiverse stuff, one of my ideas for this game was to, the Neversoft game, is to have a fucking what-if mode where weird shit just happens.
Oh, that would be dope. I would love that, actually. And that would be cool.
Does weird shit happen? The fucking Watcher shows up and is like, hello, I'm the Watcher. What you are going to witness now is a
That would be funny as fuck. I would like to see that return.
Even if it's a big head mode thing where it's just weird shit gets replaced.
Yeah. So, all right, guys. I think that's gonna do it. We've been at this for an hour. So, what a kick-ass opening to this season, in my opinion. Is I feel like this was a really good discussion, honestly.
No, I think that went really well, especially because again, we're just excited for this game because there's a reason we call this channel Remember the Hyphen. I'm waiting
for the release date because I know there's probably gonna be a collector's edition, and I'm gonna pre-order that motherfucker at GameStop.
Yeah.
I'm going to take the day off from work when that thing releases because I'm like, nope, I got plans today.
Yeah.
No one texts me. Don't call me. Don't come looking for me. I'm busy.
No, like I said, I had so many other ideas too. The Punish thing was mainly because I would love to see other Marvel superheroes show up, even if I actually had an idea where Daredevil would show up and there'd be missions where you have to help Daredevil in Hell's Kitchen.
That would be kind of cool. So,
but like I said, mostly because, while I love the Arkham games, it's so frustrating that, they only do, little nods to other characters. I get why they couldn't do Superman, because if he showed up, it would just
break the story.
Break the story, but, you could have had Green Arrow show up at any goddamn point and just have it where, we have another vigilante running around, but overall, even though these don't show up, I know Insomniac's got this, is more like...
I got as much faith in them as I do in the Spider-Verse team. I got faith.
But anyway, guys, I think that's really going to wrap it up. Let us know in the comments anything you want to see in Spider-Man 2. Kind of sorry we didn't bring up a lot of stuff about Miles, but to be fair, him and I really only know Miles from Spider-Verse.
Yeah, I need to do more reading, just flat out, is what I really need to do. That's a lapse in the knowledge, and I need to fix that. I really need to work on that.
But so if you guys have any ideas what you'd like to see from Miles's stories, feel free to put it in the bottom. In the comments, but otherwise, just let us know what other ideas you'd like to see in the the Spider-Man PS5 games. But yeah,
until next time, guys. I'm Average Joe Squad,
and I'm Zongetsu134,
and as always,
we ask you,
remember the Hyphen
and take care.